When I get down on my luck, I hide behind my eyes in Hollywood. This ain't what you know, but who you know, you need to know someone to know no one. When I get down on my luck, I rolling up and roll around about my lonesome. Lost some years I used to know. I know my fate like bullets in a shotgun.
When I get down on my luck, what do? Use scientific notation to help me calculate those really large numbers, like the national debt. But we'll get into that a little bit later. One thing to keep in mind when we're using scientific notation is that the number must be expressed as follows. A times 10 to the nth, where A, the absolute value of A, is between 1 and 10, and n is an integer. Okay, so always keep those in mind. Okay, so again, absolute value of A is between 1 and 10, and n is an integer. All right, so you'll see this a lot in the book. So they'll say decimal notation versus the scientific notation. Okay, I'm going to create this little chart, and I'm going to figure out the scientific notation for this first number I'm going to use is 735. Okay, I need to find an A value. So I need to figure out where this decimal point is placed. So usually it's over here when we have this whole number. So I need my decimal point to be right here because that's the number that's between 1 and 10. So 7.35. Ooh, that doesn't look too good. Let's erase that and try it again. 7.35, okay? So 7.35 times 10 to the what power will give you 735? I need to multiply by 100, so therefore it's 10 squared. What is wrong with my handwriting? Okay, so 10 squared. All right. Next up, let's look at this decimal, which is not a whole number. Let's try 0.1679. Okay. Again, I need to figure out where to place my decimal point, and I'm going to put it in between here because that number is between 1 and 10. So I'm going to use 1.679, and I'm going to times that by, again, to get that number back, I need to divide by a tenth, so therefore that would be 10 to the negative 1. Okay? All right, so let's look at a few new things, how we can apply the exponent rules to scientific notation, which is another exponent pretty much. So let's look at what if we want to compute and leave our answers in scientific notation for the following. So here's our first problem. Let's say I want to multiply 2 times 10 squared by 3 times 10 to the 5th. Okay, so one thing you want to do is multiply your A values. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 and multiply the powers of 10, which are 10 squared, times 10 to the 5th. Okay, as a result, I'll get 2 times 3, which is 6. Multiply by, thanks to my wonderful law allo, 10 squared times 10 to the 5th is 10 to the 7th. Woohoo! And what do you know? This is in scientific notations. Why? In notation, because 6 is between 1 and 10, and then this is the integer 10 to the 2nd power. All right, let's try another one. Let's say we have, let's divide this time. Let's say I have 6 times 10 to the 4th over 12 times 10 squared. Okay, so again, I'm going to divide my A's. So 6 divided by 12 is 0.5. And I'm going to divide by del, the powers of 10, which would be times 10 to the 2nd. Okay, notice, is not a scientific notation. Therefore, I'm going to have to figure out, again, I'm moving this decimal point. This should be 5, all right? But this is where it gets a little tricky, okay? Because here, in order to move this to 5, I'm going to have to, again, also move back 1. So watch this. So really, this is 5 times 10 to the 1st power. Now you're wondering, how in the heck did you get that? again. So I'm basically, again, I'm multiplying this by 10. Okay, therefore I have to take away 1 from here. So again, I'm timesing this by 10 to get 5. But remember, I had a power of 10 here already, so I have to take 1 away from there. Okay, so I'm basically timesing this by 10 to the negative 1. So this is to the first negative 1. I'm keeping it balanced by multiplying by 1. Okay, because 10 to the first, okay, 10 to the first, these are opposites of each other. So this is like me having 10 to the 0, which is 1. Okay, so therefore this is 5 times 10 to the first. All right, try some checkpoints in your books, specifically 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4 to kind of get some practice on this.